welcome everyone to 284 News. My name is Javon Wilson.
I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant.
And we are so thrilled and happy to be coming to you live out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands. The content continues via our website, 284media.com.
Well, in today's news, the BVI government announces a $397.17 million 2022 fiscal budget, with the Ministry of Natural Resources, Labor and Immigration receiving the largest portion of recurrent allocations. And we also see the legislation critical within small island developing states in combating climate change, says Minister Vincent Wheatley during a COP26 conference. And also Island Flavours and On the Rocks awarded winners of the Kid-Preneur and Youth-Preneur competitions, and they are to receive kiosks at the Tortola Pier Park for 2 months. And we also have in the studio Professor Ian Cumming, UK Ambassador for Health to the Overseas Territories, and Dr Natalie Wright, Health Protection Lead and Consultant in Global Public Health from the UK Health Security Agency, as they speak on the Pfizer Vaccine Booster and its rollout in the territory. We get to these stories when 284 News return.
You value traditions. Today, you value music. You value education. Family.
I love you.
Service.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
Well, welcome everyone. It's Thursday, November 11th, 2021. I'm Kamal Haynes, coming to you live from the beautiful British Virgin Islands. A happy Thursday to one and all, and thank you so much for joining us. Well, we obviously start with the big topic of the budget, which was announced today in the House of Assembly by Premier Andrew Foy, who is also the Minister of Finance. And he would have said that the government of the British Virgin Islands basically announced their 2022 estimated fiscal budget of total sum of $397.17 million, with the largest percentage of recurrent allocations going to the Ministry of Natural Resources, Labor and Immigration. Well, the announcement was made by Premier and Minister of Finance Andrew Foy while delivering the budget address in the House of Assembly earlier today. Well, according to the figures presented, it is approximately some $4.9 million less than the announced 2021 budget, which totaled just over $402 million. We'll take a listen as Premier Foy gave a detailed breakdown of those figures.
And the budget numbers, the technical experts at the Ministry of Finance are projecting estimate revenues for your government in the sum of $356.7 million, with $323.2 million coming from taxes, and $33.5 million from other revenue sources. Recurrent expenditure is estimated at $337 million, with employee compensation accounting for some $130.8 million. $87.3 million allocated for goods and services, $81.7 million set aside for grants to parastatals, statutory bodies and other organizations and international bodies based on existing commitments. $12.9 million for property and other expenses, $345,000 for subsidies, $4.5 million for interest payments, and $19.4 million allocated for social benefits. A recurrent surplus of approximately $13.8 million has been projected. Capital expenditure of $39.4 million is being targeted. This will be funded by $8.8 million in loan funds from the Caribbean Development Bank Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Loan, and $9.1 million from the Consolidated Fund, $17.1 million from the Development Fund, as well as $4.4 million from insurance proceeds. $19.5 million has been allocated for debt servicing, principal and interest. The additional budgetary support to cover the additional $40.5 million largely required for the capital projects will be funded through $8.8 million from the Consolidated Fund, $600,000 from the Miscellaneous Purpose Fund, $800,000 from the Environmental Protection and Improvement Fund, $21.5 million from the Development Fund, and loan disbursements of approximately $8.8 million. This will result in another balanced budget.
Well, Premier Foy also revealed that the Ministry of Natural Resources, Labor and Immigration will be receiving the largest share of the recurrent allocations with $51.2 million, which is equivalent to 14.3% of the total budget.
The Ministry of Natural Resources, Labour and Immigration will receive the largest share of the recurrent allocations in $51.2 million or 14.3%. This is due to the reassignment of the National Health Insurance to the Ministry as part of our streamlining of systems. The reassignment was also done in 2020 to allow the Ministry of Health and Social Development to increase its focus on healthcare and public health during the COVID-19 era. The allocation to the Ministry of Health and Social Development is $34.2 million or 9.57% of the recurrent budget. The Ministry of Natural Resources, Labour and Immigration and the Ministry of Health and Social Development have been allocated 4.6% and 5.02% of the development budget respectively, with a heightened emphasis on human capital development. 13.68% of the recurrent budget has been allocated to the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries and Agriculture, and 26.36% of the development allocations. The Ministry of Transportation, Works and Utilities has been allocated 12.34% of the recurrent budget. As I've indicated, major construction projects are an area of focus for us to stimulate economic activity and create jobs for our people during the period of COVID-19. For this reason, 32.73% of the development budget has been allocated to the Ministry of Transportation, Works and Utilities. The allocation to the Ministry of Finance and the Premier's Office are 6.93% and 12.47% respectively, and the recurrent budget and 12.6% and 9.36% respectively from the development allocations. Some 12.08% of the recurrent budget has been allocated to the Governor's Group, with several major projects on the cards, such as the renovation of government properties, including the House of Assembly building. The Governor's Group has been allocated 7.66% of the development budget. It should be noted that 37.17% of recurrent allocations will be for compensation of public officers, 24.8% will be for goods and services, and 5.52% for social benefits. To recap, Mr. Speaker, the total budget this year is $397.17 million.
Well, that was Premier and Minister of Finance, Andrew Foy. Well, viewers, we will be bringing more stories from today's budget in tomorrow's newscast. Well, moving on, we receive Minister for Natural Resources, Vincent Wheatley, stressing on the importance of small island developing states to utilizing their respective legislation to collectively accelerate climate resilience in the region. Well, Minister Wheatley made a comment during his recent speech at the United Nations 2021 Climate Change Conference, also referred to as COP26, while he was speaking during the Parliamentary Observatory for Climate Change and Just Transition segment for Latin American and Caribbean parliaments when he raised the point. Well, he said, and I quote, "Well, while mitigation measures are paramount in global efforts to arrest climate change, the importance of adaptation cannot be forgotten. Latin America and the Caribbean's ability to cope with the ongoing negative effects of climate change, especially among the low-lying coastal states and small island developing states of the region, hinges on our ability to accelerate climate resilience using legislation that can, among other things, improve building codes that strengthen the ability of our housing and building infrastructure to withstand climate shocks," end quote. Well, the minister said he was sure that the meeting would greatly assist all represented parliamentarians in transitioning their respective countries or territories to reach the common goal of reducing the carbon footprint in the region. Well, he said, and I quote, "I am highly confident that the Parliamentary Observatory for Climate Change and Just Transition will prove to be an invaluable asset to parliamentarians seeking to guide their parliament's efforts to help accelerate the national transition from carbon-intensive societies to low-carbon economies. While it is imperative that we all recognize that the responsibility to preserve life on this planet now falls on everyone, no matter how big or small their society. But just last week in my own constituency in the British Virgin Islands, a government-led initiative to develop a major solar farm on the island of Anegada has advanced," end quote. Minister Wheatley said he was speaking from his experience gained in helping the BVI to recover following the devastating impact caused by the 2017 hurricanes. Well, he also thanked all parties involved at that meeting. Well, viewers, up next, Island Flavours and On the Rocks awarded winners of the Kid-Preneur and Youth-Preneur competitions. They also received a kiosk at the Tortola Pier Park for 2 months. And fully vaccinated persons will be the only category of travelers allowed to enter Guyana effective December 1. Well, we get to these stories after a word from our sponsors.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a brand new season of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and, bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men. This season, I'm taking you on an entirely different journey, from chefs to dancers, philanthropists, communications specialists, and much more. I'm heading outside in the field to share the journey of some of the BVIs best and brightest men. From East End to West End, Bojangada, Jackson Lake, not forgetting Antigata. Our Virgin Islands gentlemen are doing the damn thing, and I'm so proud. Get ready to reason, reflect, and redirect. We are the movers and shakers of this generation, and we ain't afraid to show it. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, Season 3 by yours truly, Ron Grant, raising a generation of greatness.
Well, welcome back, viewers. Well, Island Flavours and On the Rocks were respective winners of the Kid-Preneur and Youth-Preneur Pop-Up Expo competitions, which was hosted by the Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park Limited. Well, both winners were presented with kiosks for the months of November and December, which are jointly sponsored by Nagico Insurance and the Rotary Club of Central Tortola. Well, I caught up with Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Pier Park Limited, Zoe Walcott, who spoke on the contestants and the 2 winners. Take a listen.
So on Saturday, 30th October, we saw a culmination of 3 business ventures. JBY had their 5th Trick or Treat, Trunk or Treat by Prestige, and Tortola Pier Park had their 2nd annual Kid-Preneur with 6 persons, and Island Flavor came out on top. So they were the winner of a kiosk sponsored by Tortola Pier Park Limited, with Nagico Insurances offering coverage for that period, and the Rotary Club of Central Tortola partnering with us to ensure that the businesses were given an opportunity, not just for mentoring, networking capacity, but how do they take their business to the next level. Today, Friday, we saw 6 representatives actually signed up. Unfortunately, only 5 showed up. And we had On the Rocks that came out most successful, even though we had a number of business compliments whose products were they were stellar, but only one could win. On the Rocks was the successful candidate. We heard from Sean Mohammed today in his capacity with Nagico Insurance as well as Rotary Club of Central Tortola, and their commitment to ensuring that they work with these businesses to look at the viability and long-term growth. We have seen, I think this afternoon, on a Friday afternoon, this is part of our New Moon event. It's the 2nd one we've done. And the numbers aren't what Saturday was. And this is also very good for us because we do testers to determine when is it best, when is the best time to facilitate for family events, which is what both actual days we're promoting. So tonight we're showing the Addams Family at 6:30. And I want to say that, we're so appreciative. We've seen turnouts at least in 600 persons. So we want to say thank you to those persons that came out. And for those that were coming later for the movie, meet us at the movies. We have a bit of rain, so it might be prohibitive. Nonetheless, the aim of Tortola Pier Park is the board wanted to make sure and the board wanted to ensure that we created opportunity for young persons to be given that opportunity to be able to test their products, to bring it to market, and to look about the viability. And that's why synergies were created with Nagico Insurance and the Rotary Club of Central Tortola.
Well, during last Friday's event at the Pier Park, I also got a chance to catch up with a number of the contestants who were also showcasing their products. Well, these included Melanie Hendricks, who is the co-owner of the Cotton Candy Club, Stacey and Bob, owner of Flawlessly You Makeup Artistry, Shamoy Davis, owner of Paradise Cupcakes, and Devanio Wheatley, owner of Devanio's Funland. Well, here's what they had to say about their respective businesses.
Hi, my name is Melanie Hendricks. I am from the Cotton Candy Club. I'm actually the co-owner of the Cotton Candy Club. It's owned by myself and my daughter Destiny. She's 10 years old. We offer gourmet cotton candy and gourmet popcorn, but the cotton candy is the star of the show. So we offer coconut, peach, green apple. I can actually spin up some for you today. We offer them pre-packaged, and we work with a lot of schools and nonprofit organizations. So a portion of the proceeds goes to those schools and nonprofit organizations. Yeah. So if you want to get in contact with us, you can WhatsApp me at 342-7168, or you can visit our Facebook page, The Cotton Candy Club, and you can find all the other information there. We offer individual products in the prepackaged containers, and we also do live spinning at events as well. So we have tons of live spinning events coming up for the Christmas and for the remainder of this month. So look out for the Cotton Candy Club. We might be at your school soon as well, because we work with all our schools. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Shamoy Davis, and this is Paradise Cupcakes Think Sweet. And I established this business because I was, brought up by my grandparents, and I didn't like to be aboard into, my grandparents. It was rough for us growing up, so I decided to become an independent young man and whatnot. This was a way for me to become an independent young man, So I sell cupcakes, I do cakes, I do cookies, I do so many different things. In terms of desserts, I do packages. If you want something that says I'm sorry, if you're sorry, you did something to someone, you can get something that says I'm sorry with the balloon, apple cider, and right now at the pay pack I have milkshakes, I have cupcakes, and so forth. So my name is Shamoy once again, and this is Paradise Cupcakes Think Sweet. You can go on Facebook and look at my page.
Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Stacey and Bob. I'm the owner of Flawlessly You Makeup Artistry. I'm a makeup artist, and I started all on my own. I started off watching YouTube videos. I got inspired from my dance classes. I used to do dance a lot, so we would wear a lot of heavy makeup, and from then I just got interested into the craft. You could contact me at 440-3393. My social media handles, they all basically start with Flawlessly You Makeup Artistry. Thank you. My business is basically a way for me to represent my creativity. So if you look down at my pictures, I do a variety of looks. It's all based on my client's preference. This picture shows you a really natural look that a lot of my clients love. I tend to go for more natural looks. If my client asks for a dramatic look, this would be something that I would do.
Good evening, my name is Devanio Wheatley. My business is Devanio's Funland. So basically what the business is, it kind of speaks for itself. You come out, I provide entertainment for the kids. Age range starts at 6 all the way up to teenage. I have bouncy castles. I also have the different game venues. We got a shootout range. We also have a little basketball court on the further end. And to call me to get access to these, you can call my number straight, 203-441-0711. If you want to rent out, private event, just call me out and I'll be there to provide that service for you.
Well, last but not least, I also got the opportunity to interview a representative of the Youth-Preneur competition winner, On the Rocks, which is owned by Robert Swain Jr. Representative Nikita Richardson, she spoke on behalf of that business. Take a listen.
Hi, my name is Nikita Richardson, and I am a representative of On the Rocks BVI. On the Rocks is a bartending service. We provide services for weddings, parties, funerals, any party or event that you have. We provide bartending services and also bartenders as well. We are the home of the flavored painkillers. Right now we have our passion fruit, mango, and we also have pistachio. We are also the home of our well-loved Jello shots, which I would also... We have the whole, we have single layers and we have multiple layers. Whatever you want, we provide it for you. We've been around for 2.5 years, and hopefully our plan is in the future that we have franchise bars and expand even more. If you want to get in contact with us, you can contact Robert Swain or myself via 499-3737. That's 499-3737. Thank you.
Well, viewers, just a reminder, the two winners were presented with kiosks for the months of November and December, which are jointly sponsored by Nagico Insurance and the Rotary Club of Central Tortola. Well, viewers, up next, we hear from Professor Ian Cumming, UK Ambassador for Health to the Overseas Territories, and Dr Natalie Wright, Health Protection Lead and Consultant in Global Public Health from the UK Health Security Agency, as they speak on the Pfizer Vaccine Booster and its rollout in the territory. When we get to this interview when 284 News return. Well, as mentioned previously in this newscast, I sat down moments ago with Professor Ian Cumming, UK Ambassador for Health to the Overseas Territories, and Dr Natalie Wright, Health Protection Lead and Consultant in Global Public Health from the UK Health Security Agency. But we spoke about the vaccine booster and its rollout in the territory, where they revealed that these boosters will be en route to the territory by year end, once the Ministry of Health acquired the freezers needed to store these boosters. Well, here's what they had to say about that topic.
So hopefully the viewers are familiar with the concept of vaccine boosters, because it's something that happens with many vaccines that have been around for some period of time. So for example, people will be familiar with the tetanus vaccine, where a booster is given every 10 years or so to make sure that the body remembers what the foreign organism is that they're actually trying to fight. And the COVID booster that we're giving is just the same. So it's a way of reminding the body of what the virus that causes COVID actually looks like, to be able to help the body continue to fight it off, to continue to have the defense mechanisms in place should somebody become exposed to the particular virus. Now, with the COVID booster, it's currently being recommended that it should be given somewhere in the region of 6 months after the second dose, because the evidence is suggesting that by about 6 months is the time that your body needs that reminder of what this foreign organism actually looks like.
So you said in terms of a reminder after the first 6 months, so will this be an annual something? Persons have been asking that question, you know, after they get the booster, will they have to be continually taking the booster?
So I think the honest answer to that question is we don't know yet. Obviously, the virus that causes COVID is a very new virus. We're still learning about this all the time. So the simple answer is we don't yet know whether or not the vaccine is something that will provide ongoing protection, or if it is something that will be needed to be topped up on a regular basis. And we, again, if you look at vaccines that have been around for many years, we do have vaccines, for example, such as the yellow fever vaccine, where that's given as a single dose now, and that protects people for the whole of the rest of their life. Whereas, as I've already mentioned, the tetanus vaccine, the anti-tetanus vaccine, for example, your body does need to be reminded every 10 years or so. So as we gain more knowledge and more experience of this horrible virus and how we can best protect ourselves against it, then we'll be able to answer that question in more detail.
Okay, and also for those persons who are concerned about getting this third shot known as the booster, what advice can you provide to help address some of these concerns these persons may have?
I think the key piece of advice really is to say that, you know, the point of the vaccine for COVID is really to protect you against the infection itself. So the booster is really, you know, it's there to kind of to improve the protection that you may have from your first and second dose. So I think the key piece of advice is that, you know, it really is the best way to stop you both from getting the virus, but most importantly from becoming seriously unwell with it. Because although it happens in a minority of cases, some people do become really unwell, and unfortunately some people pass away from COVID, particularly if you're in an older age group or if you're in a clinically vulnerable group. So I think our key message really is to have the booster in order to protect yourself from the virus.
And in terms of the territory, now we come to the BVI. Now, how soon will these boosters be made available in the BVI, and what is the rollout plan?
So there are booster doses of the vaccine that are currently earmarked for BVI that are in the large storage facility in the northwest of England at the moment. To be able to get these boosters here safely and to make sure that they are fit for purpose when they're actually here, we need to ensure that the cold chain that protects the vaccine from the minute it leaves the UK to the minute it arrives here is protected. And we also need to make sure that there are ultra cold freezers here, because the recommended vaccine for boosters is the Pfizer vaccine, which is not the vaccine that has actually been used to date in the majority of cases for people here in BVI. So the Pfizer vaccine has to be stored at a temperature between -60 and -80 degrees centigrade. So the HSA here have ordered the special ultra low temperature freezers. They are now awaiting delivery. Hopefully they will be here in the next 4, 5, 6 weeks or so. And as soon as those freezers have arrived, have been installed and are running at temperatures of -60 at least, then we'll be able to ship the vaccine with dry ice in special shipping containers to get it here and to get it stored in those freezers. So we're hoping that very much by the end of the year we'll have the vaccine here and available to start the booster program.
And in terms of, give me a number when it comes to quantity that you have stored presently earmarked for the territory.
Well, we'll very much be guided by Dr. Ronald Georges and his team here in terms of what the numbers are that are needed. That the UK government has said repeatedly that it will provide the vaccine that is needed and the booster doses that are needed for people who want it in the territories. So there are many thousands of doses in the freezer at the moment, and obviously it's the same vaccine that's being used for all the overseas territories, plus indeed for the UK itself. So it's a huge storage capacity, but certainly in the first instance I would imagine we'd be looking at shipping somewhere in the region of 3,000 to 5,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine.
I know you said that the booster is Pfizer, and as you did mention, the vaccine that the most that would have been procured from the UK mostly is the AstraZeneca version of the vaccine. So for a lot of persons now hearing this, they may be a little concerned on that note regarding, you know, well, I had the AstraZeneca, is that going to affect me if I change the type of vaccine I take?
Not at all, no. There's no need to be concerned on that basis. We take our recommendations from the UK Health Security Agency, which is the agency that I work for, which has reviewed all of the evidence, and a booster with Pfizer is absolutely effective and is recommended in the UK, and is certainly what we're recommending and supplying for all of the overseas territories, including the Virgin Islands. Okay, so let's turn the subject now to the vaccination among children. And so far we know that the Pfizer vaccine is approved for children ages 12 and above. However, we also know that the UK backs the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, has there been any further developments in the AstraZeneca version of the vaccine for use among children? Not that I'm aware of. The evidence is constantly under review, as Professor Cumming talked about earlier on. I mean, I think the key thing is that the Pfizer vaccine is very much what we recommend for young people. And I think while we're talking about that, it's worth saying that, you know, although we know that young people, fortunately, don't become particularly unwell with COVID for the most part, there is still a very small number of cases where children can become particularly unwell, seriously unwell, and in some rare cases, but nonetheless they do exist, they die. And so in that basis, we're really urging, you know, the 12 to 17-year-olds to come ahead and have their booster. Well, viewers, that full interview will be aired in just under 30 minutes following this newscast at 7 p.m. on our Facebook page at 284 Media and our website at 284media.com.
Well, I'm Kamal Haynes, and that's all we have for today's newscast. Tune in tomorrow.